Hello class, welcome to the final week of your GS 120 course. It's crazy how fast it has gone, but I feel like we have learned a lot of important things this semester. And that's what we get to do this final week, is review on all of those things we have learned to prepare for the final. Now, like I told you in the previous video, I hope that you have been studying for this and preparing for this before this week hits. Otherwise, it takes a bit of preparation. So let's go ahead and go down to lesson 14, the conclusion. And I just want to show you the different assignments in this folder. They will look a little different than they usually do. So I just want to make sure you understand what's going on. We have a pre-gathering folder, a gathering folder, and no post-gathering folder, because everything is going to be due on the 14th, with the exception of the attendance report, which will be due by the 16th. So make sure that you're getting everything in on time. And this will be very important because I'm required to turn in final grades that weekend. So I cannot grade any late items this week. There just can't be any late work. So pay a lot of attention to the due dates this week. And luckily, the only one is really Wednesday. So you need to get all of the stuff in this pre-gathering folder done by Wednesday at 11 p.m. Mountain Time, okay? And what's going on here is pretty straightforward. Let's just start with the first piece, personal revelation instructions. This is like our lesson material and quiz. You will read through a few brief things. You watch a Mormon message, you read a quote, and then you choose one of the following talks to study. So don't spend all of your time here. Just pick one and enjoy it. And then, after you've read through this, the quiz on the next page is just a chance for you to reflect on what you've just learned and on how personal revelation has impacted you this semester. So it's not trying to test you on knowledge per se, but on your personal experiences. So you'll get a chance to reflect there. And then the next item is final course reflection. So this is like your weekly reflections at the end of each week, but for the entire course. So in this, you will basically be reviewing all of the different things that you've done throughout this course. So do you remember how in the past I have asked you to save a copy of question 4, or the final question, in the learning report each week? I say save the answer to the question that says, what is the most important thing you want to remember from this lesson and why? So this is where this comes into play, okay? Basically what you'll be doing in the quiz right after this instruction page is you will be reviewing what you felt was most important about each lesson. And if you agree with what you wrote down then, so say in lesson 2, you wrote down something and you look at it and say, yeah, that is the most important thing I learned from lesson 2. You just copy and paste it into the quiz right after these instructions for lesson 2. And the same for all of the lessons. But I would really encourage you as you go through these lessons that you review what that week was about. So don't just look at your response to lesson 2's learning report, but also look at the main material page. It gives you this advice here. Review each lesson material page to see what topics were covered in that lesson. And you can take this as a moment to say, is this the thing I would want to take away from this lesson? Or now that I've learned more, are there other things I would want to take away? So you can choose to change your response and put in a new response for that week in the quiz after this. But the reason I want you to take a moment to review the lesson material page as you go through each of these lessons is that this will be a huge help to you in preparing for the final. If you have this fresh in your mind of what was taught in each lesson, that will help a lot. So that's my recommendation there. But the final course reflection on this next page is basically reporting on what you felt was most important about each week's lesson. And then, of course, you'll be reflecting on the course as a whole and taking a moment to seriously ponder what it is you want to take away from this course. You've just spent 3.5 months here, so how can you make that a valuable experience? How can you make it impact your life for good and have those experiences stay with you? So that's what you'll be doing there. Now, our next item is the final exam practice test. And this is basically it. You can take this practice test as many times as you want in preparation for the final. And then you take the final and report that you went to your gathering and you're done. Okay? So this is basically it. In preparation for this final, I would recommend that you review the lesson material pages like I just recommended, and that you review your written notes. On the final exam, you will be allowed to use only your written notes, okay? If you type them up on the computer, that's okay. But what I'm saying is you're not allowed to ask other people for help, to do quick searches in a different web browser. You're not allowed to access anything but the notes you yourself have written during this final exam, okay? If you do access any other help, that would be violating the honor code. So just make sure you understand that and that you're familiar with your notes and ready to go with them. So what I would advise on this practice exam is that you use your written notes on it. And that way you'll be very familiar with your notes, where to find different information, and you'll be able to get a good handle on how to take the final exam well. The questions on the practice exam are not the same as the questions in the final exam, but they give you a good idea of how in depth you need to know each lesson's material. It's similar to the types of questions you've been asked during the lesson material quizzes. So think of it that way. You need to know all the basic concepts that we've learned and know some of the things about the talks and the scriptures that we've read. So study thoroughly, have great written notes, and take this practice exam as often as you want. And when you're done, go to the next page and, oh, sorry, there's the actual final practice exam. And then here's the final exam, which says you've done great, breathe deep and take it. And then you get to take it and you're basically done. Like I said, after that, so everything we just discussed is due Wednesday night. And then after that, all you have left is the gathering folder where you report your attendance. And I would ask you to get that in as soon as possible, so as shortly after your gathering as possible. And then there's a brief little thank you. And that's it. There is a lesson enhancement, but not really. It just points you towards lds.org for more information on personal revelation. So you're done. Great job. I hope this was helpful and that you won't feel lost at all in the folder. If you have any questions about preparing for the final exam or about any of these assignments, just let me know. Give me a call, an email, a text, and I would be happy to help.